I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investmentpitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Kent Yan, the CEO of TraDove, a next-generation blockchain company based in the Silicon Valley. Kent, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you, Ashton. Thanks for the opportunity. Hi everyone. I hope you're all staying healthy during this corona crisis. But it's excellent time, I think, to get a lot of things done. Well, we can really cool down here and focus on what we really need to do. Yeah.
Definitely. A lot of people have their heads down, focused, and I'm interested to hear what TraDove is doing in this situation right now. But if we could start the interview by kicking it off with a little bit of background on yourself and in business, blockchain, and how that led to founding TraDove, that would be great.
Okay. So I started in the U.S. I studied uh, a graduate. I started as in the graduate program at MIT Electrical Engineering Computer Science and got a master there, and then I also got a MBA in finance from MIT Sloan School of Management. So kind of understand the technology and finance and business well. I started I was used to do like international trade between U.S. and China, and I found that there are big pains in the payments on the payment side, especially trust and those things. How do I make sure I get paid for product services I deliver, and vice versa. And then there's a lack of trust because of this remoteness of people not knowing each other or trust each other. So I started TraDove, as kind of a business social network, basically bring two sides together so we can
Mm-hmm.
build that kind of trust in a social network format. But then 2 years ago, we find out, when the blockchain technology started emerging, we thought it's a great idea to use blockchain technology to build the international trading tool that you can do like letter of credit, at very low cost,
Mm-hmm.
instead of paying like 0.25%, and also letter of credit is not accessible, right, to a lot of mid to small companies. It is paper and time consuming. So and then also you can avoid the international wire you do through the banking system where you have to pay $45. So yeah, so here we go. We launched the beta version several months ago, and it's being tested right now.
That's great. So, TraDove is a payment solution, and I believe that you've focused on B2B, but it's not limited to that. You have all these other applications as well. And could you give a synopsis of what are the primary solutions and primary customers of the TraDove platform?
Right. So I was calling solutions to the platform. So the traditional ones, what we target is me to small companies that does uh, international trade, cross-border trade. Even though it works in all occasions, and so you can help them avoid a lot of wiring cost, which is quite a part for those me to small companies. And again, most important thing is for the first time they can build your own letter of credit, or other kind of programmable payment. Let's say you can build a milestone and all those kind of thing, on our blockchain solution. But even though we started our technology as B2B, it turns out we have wide applications for, let's say, several, you can do supply chain payments. So big companies, like for example, food companies, they can use our blockchain to payments technology to actually trace their suppliers all the way to the end for compliance issue, for food safety, or all kinds of things. And they will also help them. So instead of having the fiat cash flow in supply chain, you have the token flow. So they can also help them increase the cash flow as well, and then help their suppliers to reduce the transaction cost. Yeah, and also other application area, you can, for example, you can make bank loans, blockchain-based
Hmm.
bank loans. So you have
Wow.
token-based loans. Um, you know, this will help bank to improve, instead of having the token, instead of having the fiat money pay their borrower, they lend them in token, and the borrower can pay other companies or people in token, and all the bank needs to just guarantee the token for conversion one to one. This can help the bank actually make more money. They can they can improve their, they can, you still have to pay interest when you use their token, but on the other hand, the money sits in the bank for a longer time, so they can use it for other purpose. Another exciting area would include checks, for example. United States and Canada, for example, were at 28 billion trillion actually. Uh, 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 Payments are being done in checks. We're processing
Wow.
how many? Oh, actually, sorry, 18 trillion. It's an 18 trillion. I think we're processing 28 million checks every day, and every check will cost $1.22 to process. And there are a lot of errors like bounce checks, like all those kind of issues. So if you use blockchain-based checks, you don't have bounce checks. And then you can cash out directly from the issuer's bank or payer's bank instead of going through your own bank, going to the four party, you go through one party. So this can significantly reduce the processing cost. You can also use our technology for credit card payments, credit card processing. It has the potential to without using the current credit card network like Visa or MasterCard, and save the merchant 2 to 3%. That's what they're paying for the credit card payments, and which is very significant. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is only possible because of TraDove's blockchain network and payment solution on the blockchain network. Can you talk about the efficiency in why is TraDove's blockchain so much more efficient than using the Bitcoin or the Ethereum blockchains?
I think Bitcoin, Ethereum, they are the first generation blockchain. They open up the whole era of blockchain revolution. But as time goes by, there are a lot of use cases that Bitcoin, Ethereum blockchain doesn't fit. One of the area is on the performance side. I think Bitcoin, you can process only 7 to 8 transactions per second, and Ethereum about 20 to 30. I think for international trade and all those going on credit card check, digital check, or even loan or supply chain payments, those doesn't work anymore. And also it's very cumbersome and not scalable. So that's why we come up with what we call light central heavy distribution. We do the light central because you have to do KYC and all those kind of things for compliance issues. But on the other hand, you want to push the computing power to the end device. So you don't have much to spend. In other words, you don't have to have tens of thousands of servers to process those payments like PayPal or Venmo. That's a centralized example. That's full centralized, I should say. Or distribution side on the Bitcoin, you have tens of thousands of mining machines process those. So so this way you can make a balance of both between the central and full distribution, and then I would say provide a better solution architecture for the future users of blockchain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great that you touched on the scalability of Bitcoin and Ethereum not really being able to be a provider of payments and a payment solution for the world because it really isn't at that level yet. Now, with TraDove's blockchain scalability, have you found a way to scale to global readiness, but at the same time still maintaining a high level of security and some level of decentralization as well?
Yes. That's, as I said, when you push computing to the end device, so you will actually basically allow any device, cell phones, smartphones, pads, computers, servers, to actually, you can allow anyone to pay anyone anywhere free of charge. I would say very low cost charge. I cannot say fully free. And then in the meantime, you use certain blockchain architecture to maintain the integrity and security of the network to make sure there's no bad guys, double spending, fraud, like us, like that. So that's why you need to make a combination of central and decentralized. But I would say probably 85% decentralized or distributed, or probably 10-15% centralized. And you make a combination of both, so you can provide, I would say, a better solution for the world economy from here. Yeah.
It's interesting that you actually have the nodes running on everyday users of the platform's devices, and that sort of increases the decentralization, if I'm not wrong. Could you explain the choice behind building a mobile first a blockchain and having that mobile
Yeah.
readiness? Because it seems
I
Bitcoin and
will,
Ethereum were very desktop related.
I will correct it a little bit. So I would say I don't think you can run I don't think you can run a node on the cell phone, but you can store the ledgers on the cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
So that will make it very, in other words, you push the storage. Actually, you can still say computing power on the end device. So you store your own ledger. While the blockchain that's running behind all those will have very limited uh, storage that's needed to process those payments. So this way, you can make it very light for the blockchain itself
Mm-hmm.
that's processing those orders. Yet you store the ledgers on your cell phone or your end device, or it could be desktop or server. So that will actually uh, I would say push all the computing costs to the end device. So you are paying the computing power, and we are just incur very minimal ones, so we can afford to offer the service with very little charge.
Mm-hmm.
But we still make money. We're a profitable company, not profitable, for-profit company. So you still have to, we make money on the float, because if you want to use the system, our service for the B2B trade, for example, you have to buy the token. So you send the money to our banking partner, and then you get the token, you pay out that side token. The other side can cash out the token from a banking partner. And then during that time, the escrow account at the banking partner will carry average balance. So we can invest that in like money market accounts, US Treasury, like all those. Yeah. So I would say very little bit transaction fee, but mostly it's on the escrow account
Mm-hmm.
investment.
And part of
Yeah.
this mobile-based platform is that in a lot of underbanked and underserved countries, they run almost primarily on mobile devices. Is that part of the target, is expanding into a global market where people don't have the traditional infrastructure?
Yes, that's how we started. So we started from mobile to desktop server. So there are a lot of developing countries. Their only internet connection are mobile phones. Okay, so give you one example. In Africa, for example, in some part of China and some part of India, for example, and Nestle, one of the biggest food company, they have 700,000 farmers to pay.
Mm-hmm.
You think about how they pay them. Okay, so the mobile phones are certainly very important. And also there are a lot of mom and pop shops, even in the United States and Europe. They mostly run their business on, they have a handy cell phone. So we make it very easy for you to transact with each other, both for business and for consumer as well, B2B and B2C as well. As I said, you can do credit cards, you can do checks. Of course, on the business side, you can do bank loans, like all this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the TraDove beta application, went live a couple months ago. Can you talk about the growth so far and what lies next on the roadmap on the way to releasing the full application?
So yeah, so we released the beta version, and it's being trial right now. That's we call MVP, right? So it's a workable solution, but there's still a lot of improvement we have to do based on the feedbacks we gather. So I think during this coronavirus thing, I actually had the opportunity to focus down into the project and develop the next version, which is much more secure, much more scalable, and much easier to use. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So we'll have next release probably coming out end of October. Yeah.
Great. And as you release the full application, what kind of companies and strategic partners are you going to be working with in the business?
So there are, we always want to partner with the banks. Remember, we have to form a banking alliance. So unlike a lot of blockchain companies who's hyper and want to compete with the banks or replace the banks, we think the banks provides a critical role in the economy. They provide liquidity role in the economy. Think about what's happening right now, the coronavirus. It's a bank that's releasing those aid money from the government. So they cannot be replaced. So we want to work with the banks, several escrow account like those, On the other hand, we want to work with those IT implementers like Accenture, PwC, Deloitte, IBM of the world. Basically, we want to be the technology providers. We want to support them so they can implement those new products to supply, for example, supply chain, blockchain payment for the major companies, big or mid-sized companies. They can implement this to the bank for digital checks, for credit card. We could even work with Visa, for example, because we can help them significantly reduce the processing costs with that technology we're developing. Yeah.
Wow. And as you move forward to launching the main application, are you looking to expand your team, your developers, and also are you looking for more investors as well?
Yeah, this is actually an excellent time. First of all, I have to say, TraDove, we're in a very good financial position. We're very healthy financially. Our money can last from 36 months to 40 months, which is very significant compared to a lot of other startup companies. I think this crisis is good for us because we're very well positioned. It will kill a lot of the crisis will kill a lot of competitors, and it's actually excellent time for us to expand. So that's why we are still looking for investments. The more money we have, the better, because we can spend $1 like two right now, because everything is cheaper, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're raising. We're offering favorable terms to our current investors, the $1 a share, 32 million pre-money valuation. So we already got a couple million committed. We welcome anyone who are interested to join us. The more investors we have, the better, because that we have investor. We have top investors from like former CEO of Bank of America, former CFO Morgan Stanley, my professor at MIT, U.S. congressman, former U.S. congressman, like that. So we have very high quality investors, a very high quality team. We have 40 people in U.S., China, and Europe, and our core team are from like MIT, LinkedIn, Facebook, Alibaba, Amazon of the world. So it's a very high quality team and very high quality company. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds great. And if there are any viewers that are interested in learning more about TraDove or reaching out to you to connect, what's the best way for them to learn more?
Sure. We're looking for three kinds of people. Okay, so we're looking for banks, for example. If you're a banking partner, we're very willing to talk to you. We're always looking for partners like IT, Accenture, PwC, Deloitte, IBM of the world. We want to talk to you. And then investors, of course, are always welcome. And you can contact me in my email, which is kent.yan@TraDove. That's TRADOVE.net. So let me just repeat one more time. So it's Kent, KENT.YAN@TraDove. That's TRADOVE.net. Of course, you can contact Ashton as well if he has my email address. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Kent. I will leave a link to the TraDove platform as well as your connection as well in the description box below for the viewers. And that's all the time that we have for the interview, but it sounds like TraDove is on a great path forward, and I'm looking forward to seeing the launch of the main application, as you said, and let's follow up in the near future.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ashton, for the opportunity. Thanks, everyone. I have to emphasize that in Chinese, the crisis and opportunity is one word. Okay, so take this crisis as opportunity, as we are doing now in TraDove. And I think when we emerge out of it, we all will be very strong. Thank you very much.